Hi, I'm Dennis Smith, and we are here to talk about the core method. Let's get focused. So far, we have refactored all of our notes. We've put them into journals, logbooks. We've set it aside into a system to bring the important things back to us at a later time. And we've really been getting ready for this moment when we pull together the week. Now that we have all of our notes into journals, we've set aside distractions, we've put things into a system to keep track of those things that we just don't need right now. Now is the time when we're going to refactor all of that information and put it into our VR worksheet that we talked about in Module 510. In Module 510, we showed you how to fill out the VR worksheet. Now we're going to go through a process that you'll repeat every week to go through all of the places that you've put things, to bring them into a single focus document to keep what's important at the top of your attention. You don't have to remember it all. On the website, on the page that you click to watch this video, there is a summary PDF that you can download to use as your ongoing reference for this work. You'll probably want to customize it though. Many people have other sources of information that aren't in their immediate workspace. Those might be ERP systems, CRM systems, shared workspaces that have to do with projects or tasks. You know what those things are, and you should customize this form to include those as a part of your weekly workflow. So now let's go take the final steps to get ready before we go fill out the VR form. And those steps are to just make sure one more time that you've been doing all the things that we've talked about in the other modules. Your inbox should be in the 24 and out state that we talk about in the email module. You should have taken the messages off of your office phone, cell phone, or whatever phone numbers you need to do. If you still get real mail and there's a pile on your desk, go through that, and I hope you can throw most of it out, but there may be some that should go in your for later file. If you do a daily or weekly set aside for later process, you need to pull the things out of those folders and put them in the pile of work that you're going to go through as you lay out your VR plan for the coming week. And lastly, make sure that your journal or logbook is at hand. Processing of that logbook, making sure that you've covered or moved to a different place all of the action items and important notes from the logbook. This is the time when you're going to do that. And the last step to get ready to do this work is to remove all of the distractions that you possibly can from your environment. That would include closing the door if you have an office, taking your phone off the hook if you can bring yourself to do that, putting your cell phone on vibrate, and the most difficult one for most people, turn off your email program so that you're not interrupted by new emails as you're going through the process. Now that you have all those distractions removed, all of the distractions that you possibly can, let's get this week together. This is the sheet that is included in the page that references this video. You can download either this prettied up version or a Word version that you can expand for your own use. The first step is to prepare yourself for the refactoring. You need to set aside time, preferably in your schedule, usually late Friday or early Monday, and find a quiet place where you can focus. The next step is to clean up all of your work from last week to make sure that it's ready for your work today. And that includes completing the updates to last week's sheet, adding project titles of the most important 6 projects that you want to work on this week, moving incomplete items from the previous week's sheet to this week, and getting your inbox to the 24 and out state. Next, we're going to process the logbook. In previous sections, we've talked about how to move start items to your VR sheet or put them away for later if they're not relevant to this week. Check mark those moved items in your logbook and mark those pages complete. Now we're into building this week. First, you should process your this week and later this month folders to pull out items that you have set aside for later. Add those to this week's VR sheet or put them away for later again. Lastly is the review of shared systems. These could include the formal project management systems that are in place at your business,
actions from shared workspaces, CRM, ERP, or meeting action reporting systems. These should be transferred to your VR sheet or set aside for later. If this is the beginning of a new month, you should go to page 2, which I'll review in a second. The last step I usually take is to process follow-up items. These are the things that I'm waiting for from the waiting for list on my VR sheet, set up meeting requests, and write status reports if those are required. If this is a new month, then you would work through part 2 of the list. This is only done once at the beginning of the month and takes into account the things that you have set aside for later times. The first is to go through your support system folders. Here you would process those things that were set away for later this month, add items to this week, later this month, or file for later use, and move the now empty month folder to the back of the stack. If you need to, you can review how those work in Lesson 410. Next is to go through your Ideas for Later folder. Add items to your workflow, leave them in the folder, throw out items that no longer look so good. You can review how that folder is used in Lesson 410. And as a last step, you can review the visual map that you built in Lesson 1100. When you review that map, you are looking for new project categories or new ideas to move into your current working system.
Now most of the elements of the core method are in place. Building the weekly VR sheet is actually the core of the core method. We will continue to work on other refinements to the system that will make it more effective for you, more relevant to your work, but start practicing now. Set aside some time each week to go through and build the VR sheet for that week. Find a place that's quiet where you can stay focused and start to build the habit today. Building the weekly VR sheet and having in place the systems that feed it are the basis of what keeps the most important work at the top of your attention. So now it's up to you. It's up to you to set aside some time to do this, to build the habit, to get started on this process and to follow through with it. So let's get focused.